The pregnancy test fell from her, shaking hands as she heard his laugh. Not the warm laugh she'd fallen in love with 6 years ago. This was different, cold, cruel. Coming through the phone speaker as she lay bleeding on the shoulder of Interstate 40, 8 months pregnant, thrown from a moving car by her billionaire husband's mistress. And he was laughing. What Cassie Mitchell didn't know was that this wasn't an accident. It was a plan, carefully calculated, meticulously executed, designed to look like a tragic breakdown, a pregnant woman's mental collapse. So he could take everything, the baby, the money, the life they'd built, and leave her with nothing. But Vaughn Mitchell made one critical mistake. He underestimated the strength of a mother protecting her child. This is the true story of a woman who gave birth on a highway, who fought the system designed to protect the rich, who turned her darkest moment into her greatest victory, and who proved that when you push a mother to the edge, she doesn't fall. She fights back. This is Cassie's story, and it will change how you think about survival, about justice, about what a woman is capable of when everything is taken from her. Stay with me, because what happens next will leave you breathless. The leather seat was cold against Cassie's back. 8 months pregnant, she'd positioned herself carefully in the passenger seat of the Range Rover, trying to find comfort where none existed. The baby kicked hard against her ribs, a sharp jab that made her wince. "Don't touch me." The words ripped from her throat. Sloane's hands were already on her shoulders, manicured nails, perfect French tips. Cassie felt the pressure through her thin maternity blouse. The passenger door gaped open beside her. Wind screamed through the cabin at 70 miles per hour. "Wait," Cassie said. "What are you doing?" Sloane's face was inches from hers. Beautiful, composed, empty. Her lips curved into something that might have been a smile. Then she shoved. Cassie's center of gravity betrayed her. The weight of her belly pulled her sideways. She grabbed for the door frame. Her fingers scraped metal. Missed. The world tilted. For one impossible second, Cassie saw Vaughn's face in the rearview mirror. Her husband, father of the baby currently kicking inside her. His blue eyes met hers in the reflection. He was smiling. Then she was falling. The asphalt came up fast. Cassie tried to twist, protect her stomach. She hit shoulder first. Pain exploded through her arm. Her body rolled. Gravel tore through her clothes, through her skin. She tumbled like a rag doll across the highway shoulder. The medical bracelet cut into her wrist. White plastic with red letters. Emergency contact, Vaughn Mitchell. She'd worn it every day since her first trimester. Her doctor had insisted, in case something happened, in case she needed help. The irony wasn't lost on her now. Cassie stopped rolling, lay still. The sky above was perfect blue. Early October in Tennessee. Beautiful day. 72 degrees. She'd checked the weather that morning. Dressed in layers because she was always cold lately. The baby kicked again. Frantic movement against her ribs. "Okay," Cassie whispered. "Okay, you're okay." She tried to sit up. Her left arm wouldn't cooperate. The pain was white hot, blinding. She used her right arm instead. Pushed herself to sitting. Looked down the highway. The Range Rover's taillights glowed red in the distance. Brake lights. They were stopping. Coming back for her. Relief flooded through her chest. A mistake. This was all a mistake. Sloane had grabbed for her, tried to help. The door had been opened because Cassie felt sick, needed air. They'd stopped so she could breathe. The brake lights went dark. The Range Rover accelerated, disappeared around the bend. Cassie stared at the empty road. Her mind couldn't process what she was seeing. They left. They actually left. Vaughn and Sloane drove away, left her bleeding on the side of Interstate 40. Pain gripped her abdomen, different from the impact, deeper, rhythmic. She knew this pain, had learned about it in birthing class. Braxton Hicks contractions, false labor. Except these didn't feel false. She looked down, blood soaked through her maternity dress. Dark red, too much blood. The fabric clung to her thighs. She couldn't tell where it was coming from. Everywhere. Nowhere. Too much. "No," she said. "No, no, no, not now. Please, not now." The baby was 5 weeks early. Too early. Cassie had a hospital bag packed. A birth plan, a doula on speed dial. She was supposed to have 5 more weeks. 5 more weeks to prepare, to make everything perfect. Another contraction hit. This one was stronger. Cassie gasped, counted. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi. The pain peaked, started to fade. She checked her watch. 3:47 in the afternoon. She needed to time the contractions. That's what they'd taught her. Time them. Call the doctor when they were 5 minutes apart. Go to the hospital when they were 3 minutes apart. Cassie's phone was gone. She remembered now. She'd been holding it when Sloan pushed. It flew from her hand. Could be anywhere. 20 feet back, 50 feet, smashed on the asphalt. She tried to stand. Her legs shook. The world tilted. She went down on her hands and knees, crawled toward the roadside marker. Green metal post with white numbers. Mile marker, 243. A semi-truck roared past. The wind from it nearly knocked her over. The driver didn't slow, didn't see her, or saw her and didn't stop. Cassie reached the marker post, used it to pull herself upright, leaned against it, breathed. The contractions were coming faster now. She didn't need a watch to know that. Her body knew. Another vehicle approached. Sedan, silver. Cassie waved her right arm. The left one still wouldn't move properly. The car swerved around her, kept going, taillights disappearing. Please, Cassie said to no one. Somebody please. A third vehicle. This one slowed. Old pickup truck. Faded blue paint. It pulled onto the shoulder 20 feet ahead of her. Stopped. The driver's door opened. An elderly man climbed out. Thin, white hair, flannel shirt. His face went pale when he saw her. "Oh, my Lord," he said. "Oh, my freedom. Ma'am, are you okay?" "I need help," Cassie said. "I'm having a baby." The man fumbled in his pocket, pulled out a phone. His hand shook so badly he almost dropped it. He pressed 911, held it to his ear. "Yes, hello," he said, his voice cracked. "There's a pregnant woman on Interstate 40, mile marker 243. She's bleeding. She was hit by a car. I think she was hit by a car. She's having a baby." "Oh God, she's having a baby right now." Cassie heard the dispatcher's voice, tinny through the phone, calm, professional, asking questions. The man answered as best he could, kept looking at Cassie like he'd never seen anything so terrible. Another contraction hit. Cassie doubled over, gripped the mile marker post with her good hand. The metal was warm from the sun. Solid, real. She focused on that. The warmth, the solidity, counted through the pain. When it passed, she straightened. The man was still on the phone, still talking to the dispatcher. He moved closer, held out his hand. "Let me help you sit," he said. "Ambulance is coming. Just hold on." Cassie let him guide her down. The gravel was sharp under her, uncomfortable. She shifted, tried to find a position that didn't hurt. There wasn't one. The man stayed on the phone. The dispatcher was giving him instructions, talking him through what to do. He relayed the information to Cassie in a shaking voice. "She says don't push yet," he said. "Breathe. Just breathe. Help is coming." Cassie breathed, in through her nose, out through her mouth, like they'd taught her in class, like she'd practiced at home with Vaughn's hand on her back, counting with her, supporting her. Vaughn, who had just driven away, left her bleeding on a highway, watched in the rearview mirror while his mistress pushed his pregnant wife from a moving vehicle. Cassie's brain still couldn't make sense of it. This morning she'd woken up in their bed, their penthouse. She'd made breakfast, scrambled eggs with chives, Vaughn's favorite. He'd kissed her forehead, said he had meetings all day, would be home late. Then Sloan had called, Vaughn's executive assistant, asked Cassie to meet her, said she had something important to discuss. About Vaughn, about the baby. Cassie had agreed, met her in the parking garage. Sloan had suggested they drive, talk privately, away from the city. Cassie had gotten in the car. Stupid. So stupid. She'd gotten in the car with the woman her husband was sleeping with. The woman whose text messages she'd found on Vaughn's phone 1 month ago. After she has the baby, file for divorce. You'll get full custody with her postpartum depression. Cassie had confronted Vaughn. He denied everything, called her paranoid, blamed pregnancy hormones, made her feel crazy. She wasn't crazy. She'd been right. And now she was lying on the shoulder of Interstate 40, giving birth 5 weeks early because her husband wanted her gone. Another contraction. Stronger. Longer. Cassie couldn't count through this one, could only grip the ground and wait for it to pass. When it did, she tasted blood. She'd bitten her lip. "How far apart are they?" the elderly man asked. He was kneeling beside her now, one hand hovering near her shoulder like he wanted to comfort her but didn't know if he should touch. 3 minutes, Cassie said, maybe less. The man's face went even paler. He raised the phone again, spoke to the dispatcher in urgent tones. Cassie heard the response. Sirens in the distance, getting closer. 5 minutes out, the man said. Can you hold on for 5 minutes? Cassie wanted to laugh, wanted to cry, wanted to scream. Instead, she nodded, closed her eyes, focused on breathing, on the warmth of the sun, on the baby moving inside her. Still moving, still alive. 5 minutes felt like 5 hours, like 5 seconds. Time moved strangely. Cassie floated in and out. The contractions came in waves, each one stronger than the last, each one closer. Her body was doing this, whether she was ready or not. The sirens grew louder. Cassie opened her eyes. An ambulance pulled onto the shoulder, lights flashing. 2 paramedics jumped out. One was a woman, middle-aged, short dark hair. She carried a medical bag and moved with practiced efficiency. "Ma'am, I'm Maggie," the woman said. She knelt beside Cassie. Her hands were already examining, checking pulse, looking at the blood. "Can you tell me what happened?" "She pushed me, Cassie said. The door was open. She pushed me out." Maggie's hands stilled for just a second. Her eyes met Cassie's. There was something in that look. Belief. Understanding. "How far along are you?" Maggie asked. 35 weeks, Cassie said. Is the baby okay?" Maggie placed a hand on Cassie's belly, felt the contraction rippling through, nodded. "Strong heartbeat," she said. "Baby's doing great. How far apart are your contractions?" 2 minutes, maybe less. Maggie looked at her partner. He was setting up equipment, privacy screens, a portable gurney. Maggie shook her head. "We're not going to make it to the hospital," she said. "We're delivering here." The privacy screens were blue medical curtains on metal frames. They blocked the view from the road but did nothing to stop the sound. Cars rushing past at 70 miles per hour. Semi-trucks that made the ground shake. The endless whoosh of traffic that Cassie would hear in her nightmares for years to come. Maggie worked quickly, set up a sterile field on the gravel, latex gloves snapping into place. Her partner, whose name Cassie never caught, was radioing for additional support, calling for a neonatal team, saying words like premature and emergency delivery and potential complications. Another contraction hit. This one was different. Pressure. Unbearable pressure. Cassie's body was taking it over, making decisions without her permission. "I need to push," she said. "Not yet," Maggie said. "Wait for me to check you." But Cassie's body didn't wait. The urge was overwhelming, primal. She pushed, felt something shift inside her, felt her daughter moving down, making her entrance into the world on a highway shoulders at sunset. "Okay," Maggie said. Her voice was calm, steady. "Okay, I see the head. You're doing great, Cassie. Next contraction, I need you to push as hard as you can." Cassie nodded. She was lying on her back on the gravel, the stones dug into her spine. Her left arm was useless at her side. Her right hand gripped the metal frame of the privacy screen. The sky above was turning pink. Golden hour. Magic hour. The most beautiful time of day. The contraction built. Cassie pushed, felt her body tear, felt pain that eclipsed everything that had come before. She screamed. The sound was animal, raw, nothing like the controlled breathing they'd practiced in class. "Good," Maggie said. "Good. One more, big push." Cassie pushed. Everything narrowed to this moment, this single point of focus. Nothing else existed. Not Vaughn, not Sloan, not the car that had driven away. Only this, only her daughter, only the desperate need to bring her safely into the world. Pressure released, suddenly, completely. Cassie gasped, fell back against the gravel, heard the most beautiful sound in the world. Crying. Her baby was crying. "It's a girl," Maggie said. "You have a beautiful baby girl." Cassie tried to sit up. Maggie was already moving, suctioning the baby's mouth and nose, rubbing her vigorously with a sterile towel. The crying intensified. Loud. Healthy. Perfect. Maggie placed the baby on Cassie's chest, skin to skin, covered them both with a thermal blanket. The weight of her daughter was solid, real, warm. She was smaller than Cassie had imagined. Tiny, but fierce. Her little fists clenched. Her legs kicked. She was covered in vernix and blood, and she was the most perfect thing Cassie had ever seen. "Hi," Cassie whispered. "Hi, baby, I'm your mama." The baby's eyes opened, dark blue, unfocused, but looking, seeing, meeting her mother for the first time on the shoulder of Interstate 40, surrounded by strangers and traffic and the smell of diesel fuel. Maggie was doing something with the umbilical cord, clamping it, cutting it. Cassie barely noticed. She couldn't look away from her daughter's face. Couldn't stop touching her, tracing her tiny nose, her perfect ears, counting her fingers, all 10 there, all perfect. "Time of birth, 6:37 p.m., Maggie's partner said. He was writing on a form, documenting everything. "Weight estimated at 5 pounds 4 ounces. "Grace," Cassie said. "Her name is Grace." It hadn't been the name they'd chosen. She and Vaughn had decided on Charlotte, after his grandmother. But Charlotte was Vaughn's choice, Vaughn's family, Vaughn's legacy. This baby, born on a highway after being thrown from a car, she deserved her own name. A name that meant what Cassie felt in this moment. Undeserved favor, divine mercy, grace. A car slowed. Cassie heard it. The change in engine sound, then voices, people shouting, asking if she was okay, if the baby was okay, asking what happened. Then she heard it, the click, unmistakable, the sound of a phone camera, then another, and another, people in their cars crawling past the scene, filming, recording. Cassie's most vulnerable moment becoming content, becoming entertainment, becoming a story they'd tell at dinner parties. "Did you see that video? The woman who gave birth on the highway? So crazy. Can you imagine?" Maggie heard it too. She stood, positioned herself between Cassie and the road, spread her arms wide. "Move along," she shouted. "This is a medical emergency. Move along." Most of the cars kept going, but Cassie knew. The videos were already out there, already uploading, already being shared. Pregnant woman gives birth after hit and run. Not one of those videos would show the Range Rover. Not one would capture Vaughn's face in the rearview mirror. His smile. Maggie knelt back down, placed a hand on Cassie's shoulder. "We need to get you both to the hospital," she said. "Can you hold her while we move you?" Cassie nodded, tightened her grip on Grace. The baby had stopped crying, was making little snuffling sounds against Cassie's chest, rooting, looking for food. The instinct was immediate, overwhelming. Cassie's body knew what to do, even if her mind was still catching up. They lifted her onto the gurney. Careful, gentle. Maggie stayed close. One hand on Grace, one hand on Cassie's arm. The partner pushed the gurney toward the ambulance. The privacy screens came down. Cassie saw the elderly man still standing there, his face wet with tears. "Thank you," Cassie said. "Thank you for stopping." The man nodded, couldn't speak, just nodded and watched as they loaded Cassie and Grace into the ambulance. Inside, the lights were bright, harsh. Maggie started an IV, checked Cassie's vitals, examined the baby. Grace was still on Cassie's chest, still warm, still breathing, still perfect despite everything. "I need you to tell me exactly what happened," Maggie said. "From the beginning." Cassie's throat tightened. The words didn't want to come. They sounded insane even in her own head. But Maggie's eyes were kind, patient, believing. My husband, Cassie said. His name is Vaughn Mitchell. He was driving. His assistant, Sloan Hendricks, was in the front passenger seat. I was in the back, behind the driver. We were on Interstate 40, heading east. I said something, I don't remember what. Sloan turned around, opened the door beside me, put her hands on my shoulders, and pushed. Maggie wrote everything down. Every word. Her face showed nothing, but her hand moved faster. The door was already open? Maggie asked. Yes, Cassie said. It must have been. I didn't see her open it, but it was open, and she pushed me. What did your husband do? Cassie closed her eyes, saw his face in the mirror. That smile. He watched, she said. He looked in the rearview mirror, saw me falling, and he smiled. Then he drove away. The brake lights came on for a second. I thought he was stopping, but he accelerated. They both left me there. Maggie's hands stilled. She looked up from her clipboard, met Cassie's eyes. I believe you, Maggie said. Her voice was firm, clear. I need you to hear me say that. I believe every word. Right now, we focus on you and your baby, but I believe you. The tears Cassie had been holding back finally came. Relief, terror, grief, they all poured out at once. She cried while holding her newborn daughter. While the ambulances screamed down the highway toward Regional Medical Center, while Maggie held her hand and promised everything would be okay. Except Cassie knew better. Nothing would be okay. This was just the beginning. Vaughn Mitchell was a billionaire, CEO of Vortex Tech, one of the most successful tech entrepreneurs in Tennessee. He had lawyers, money, power, connections. And Cassie had nothing. No job, no money of her own, no home that wasn't his. She'd signed a prenuptial agreement when they married, standard protection for his assets. If they divorced, she got nothing. The penthouse was in his name. The cars were in his name. Even the credit cards she used were in his name. She'd been comfortable, happy, or she'd thought she was happy. Hard to tell now. Looking back, all those moments felt different, tainted. Had any of it been real? Or had she just been convenient? A placeholder? Someone to play the part of perfect wife until she wasn't useful anymore. The baby stirred, made a tiny sound. Cassie looked down. Grace's eyes were open again, looking up at her, trusting, completely dependent. This tiny person who had no idea what kind of world she'd just entered. I've got you, Cassie whispered. I promise, whatever happens, I've got you. The ambulance pulled into the hospital bay. Doors flew open. Nurses and doctors swarmed. Everyone talking at once, asking questions, taking notes, moving with practiced efficiency that made Cassie dizzy. They wheeled her into the emergency room. Bright lights, white walls, the smell of antiseptic. Someone took Grace from her arms. Cassie tried to protest, couldn't find the words. Watched helplessly as they carried her daughter away. She needs to be examined, a nurse said. We'll bring her right back. But Cassie had heard that before. Promises, reassurances, pretty lies told with kind smiles. She didn't believe them anymore. Couldn't afford to. A doctor appeared, older man, gray hair, kind eyes behind wire-rimmed glasses. His name tag said Dr. Raymond Foster. Mrs. Mitchell, he said, I'm Dr. Foster. I need to examine you. Check for internal injuries. You've been through significant trauma. Cassie nodded, let him work, felt his hands probing, checking. She stared at the ceiling tiles, counted them, lost count, started over. Anything to not think about what was coming next. Because Vaughn would come. She knew that. He'd show up at the hospital with flowers and concern and the perfect performance of worried husband. He'd tell everyone she jumped, say she was unstable, point to some evidence he'd manufactured, make her look crazy, and everyone would believe him. Why wouldn't they? He was Vaughn Mitchell, beloved philanthropist, innovative CEO, man of the year according to Tennessee Business Journal. What reason would he have to hurt his pregnant wife? Dr. Foster finished his examination, stripped off his gloves, looked at Cassie with an expression she couldn't quite read. Your injuries are consistent with a fall from a moving vehicle, he said, slowly, carefully. Road rash on your left side, sprained left wrist, deep tissue bruising across your shoulder and hip, minor concussion. These are not self-inflicted injuries. Cassie's breath caught. You believe me. I'm documenting what I see, Dr. Foster said. And what I see doesn't match an accident. I'm calling the police. They'll want to take a statement. Relief flooded through her. Then fear. The police meant questions, investigation. Vaughn would know, would start preparing his defense, his offense, whatever he was planning next. A nurse brought Grace back, swaddled in a pink and blue striped hospital blanket. The baby was asleep, peaceful, unaware of the storm gathering around her. She's perfect, the nurse said. 5 pounds, 4 ounces exactly. 35 weeks gestational age. No complications. She's a fighter. Cassie took her daughter, held her close, breathed in that newborn smell, powder and warmth and possibility. For just a moment, nothing else mattered. Not Vaughn, not Sloan, not the nightmare unfolding around them. Just this, just Grace. The moment didn't last. A police officer appeared in the doorway, young, female, sharp eyes that took in everything. Her uniform was crisp, her expression professional. She introduced herself as Detective Patricia Holloway. Mrs. Mitchell, she said, I need to ask you some questions about what happened this afternoon. Cassie nodded, shifted Grace to one arm, prepared to tell the story again. From the beginning. Every detail. Every terrible moment. The detective pulled out a notebook, clicked her pen, and listened. The hospital room was too bright. Fluorescent lights hummed overhead. White walls, white sheets, white everything. Cassie sat propped up in bed with pillows supporting her back. Grace slept in a clear plastic bassinet beside her. The baby was hooked up to monitors, wires and sensors tracking every breath, every heartbeat. It was past midnight. The hospital was quiet, that strange hushed silence that only exists in medical facilities after dark. Somewhere down the hall, a machine beeped. A door opened and closed. Soft footsteps passed by. Cassie couldn't sleep. Every time she closed her eyes, she felt it. The hands on her shoulders, the wind in her face, the moment of falling. She kept jerking awake, heart pounding, convinced she was still on the highway. Her left arm was in a sling. The wrist was sprained but not broken. Small mercies. The road rash had been cleaned and bandaged. It would scar. The doctor had been honest about that. She'd carry the marks of this day on her skin forever. The door opened. Detective Holloway stepped in. She looked tired. Her hair was pulled back in a ponytail. She carried a tablet in a large envelope. I'm sorry to disturb you so late, she said, but I have something you need to see. Cassie sat up, strode at her. Did you find Vaughn? We tried to contact him. Multiple calls. He hasn't responded. We sent officers to your residence. Penthouse on Market Street, correct? Yes. No one was home. Building security says he hasn't returned since this morning. Cassie's stomach twisted. He's running. Or hiding, Detective Holloway said. She pulled a chair close to the bed, set the tablet on the overbed table. We put out a bolo, be on the lookout, for both Mr. Mitchell and Ms. Hendricks. The vehicle, too, a black Range Rover registered to Vortex Tech. You believe me. It wasn't a question, but Cassie needed to hear it confirmed again. I've been a detective for 15 years, Holloway said. Worked domestic violence cases in wealthy families. I know what patterns look like. I know what money tries to hide. Your story matches your injuries. Your injuries match the scene, I believe you. But I also know how these cases go. Vaughn Mitchell has resources. He'll have lawyers, good ones. They'll attack your credibility, claim you're unstable, find reasons to doubt your version of events. I have proof, Cassie said. I found a text message on his phone. From Sloan, it said, after she has the baby, file for divorce, Holloway finished. You'll get full custody with her postpartum depression. I know, you mentioned it in your statement. So that proves he was having an affair. Maybe proves he was planning to leave you. But his lawyers will say it doesn't prove attempted murder. They'll say you were angry about the affair. Jump from the cameraman in a moment of irrationality, that he's the victim here, dealing with an unstable wife. Cassie felt the walls closing in. So what do I do? Holloway opened the envelope, pulled out several photos, set them on the table. They showed the highway, the stretch of road where Cassie had fallen, skid marks, blood on the gravel, her torn maternity dress lying in the breakdown lane. We processed the scene, Holloway said, found tire tracks, took samples of the blood. It all supports your account. But I have something better. She tapped the tablet. The screen came to life. Video footage. Grainy. Distance shot from a dash camera. Date and timestamp in the corner. 6:23 p.m. Truck driver was about 200 yards behind the Range Rovers, Holloway said. His dash cam caught it. She pressed play. The video showed Interstate 40 from the perspective of a vehicle traveling east. Ahead, barely visible, was a dark SUV, the Range Rover. As Cassie watched, the passenger side door open. A figure tumbled out, too far away to see clearly, but unmistakably a person, unmistakably falling. The Range Rover's brake lights glowed for 3 seconds, maybe 4. Then they went dark. The vehicle accelerated, disappeared around the curve. Cassie's hands shook, seeing it from outside, from a stranger's perspective. It made it real in a way her own memory hadn't. This happened. This actually happened. There's audio, Holloway said. Faint, but we enhanced it. She turned up the volume. The sound of traffic filled the room. Wind, engine noise, then barely audible. Voices, a man's voice, amused, almost laughing. Did you see her face? Then laughter, male and female, both of them laughing. Cassie stopped breathing. That was Vaughn, his voice, his laugh, the one she'd heard 1,000 times, at dinner parties, while watching movies, when she told him jokes that weren't very funny. He'd always laughed at her jokes, even the bad ones. She'd thought that meant he loved her. I'm sorry, Holloway said softly. I know this is hard to hear. Can you identify them from the audio? Voice analysis can try, but it's circumstantial. Defense will argue it could be anyone. The video doesn't show the license plate clearly enough, doesn't show the faces of the occupants. So it's not enough. It's a start, Holloway said. Combined with your testimony, the physical evidence, your injuries, it builds a case, but I need to be honest with you. Vaughn Mitchell is a powerful man. He'll fight this, and he'll fight dirty. Cassie looked at Grace. Her daughter slept peacefully, unaware of the battle being waged around her, unaware that her father had tried to kill her mother, that she'd been born on a highway because of violence and cruelty and calculated malice. What happens now? Cassie asked. We keep investigating, try to find the Range Rover, interview witnesses, build the strongest case possible. In the meantime, you should consider protection, a restraining order, and we're safe to stay when you're discharged. I don't have anywhere. The words tasted bitter. Everything is his, the apartment, the money. I have nothing. Do you have family? Friends? Cassie thought of her parents, dead in a car accident when she was 23. No siblings. Her friends were Vaughn's friends, wives of his colleagues, women who played tennis at the country club and organized charity galas. They weren't really her friends. She saw that now. Except Charlie, Charlotte Brennan. They'd met in college, stayed close even after Cassie married Vaughn and moved to Tennessee. Charlie was a corporate lawyer in Memphis. Brilliant, ruthless, the kind of person you wanted on your side in a fight. Charlie, Cassie said, my friend Charlie, she's a lawyer. Call her, Holloway said. Tonight, you're going to need legal representation. I can't pay her. Vaughn controls everything. Call her anyway. Real friends don't care about payment. Holloway stood, gathered her materials, left the enhanced video clip on the tablet. You can watch it again if you need to, she said. Sometimes it helps, seeing proof, knowing you're not crazy. After she left, Cassie sat in the dark. The only light came from the monitors. The soft glow illuminated Grace's face. So peaceful, so innocent. She'd only been alive for 6 hours. 6 hours in this world, and already she'd survived more than most people face in a lifetime. Cassie picked up her phone. Charlie answered on the second ring. Cassie, it's after midnight. What's wrong? Everything, Cassie said. Her voice broke. Everything is wrong. She told the story, all of it. Charlie didn't interrupt, didn't ask questions, just listened. When Cassie finished, there was a long silence. I'm coming, Charlie finally said. Tonight, I'll be there by morning. Charlie, it's 3 hours. I'm already getting dressed. Text me which hospital. I'll be there by 6 a.m. I can't pay you. Shut up about money. You're my sister. Not by blood, but by choice. And nobody hurts my sister. Cassie cried, relief and fear and exhaustion all mixed together. She'd been holding herself together for hours, staying strong, staying focused. Now hearing Charlie's voice, the dam broke. He threw me away, Cassie whispered, like garbage, like I was nothing. You're not nothing, Charlie said fiercely. You're a mother, a survivor, and we're going to make him pay for what he did. I promise you, he will pay. They stayed on the phone for another hour, Charlie driving, talking, asking questions about Vaughn's assets, his business, his vulnerabilities, already building a strategy, already planning the counterattack. When they finally hung up, Cassie felt something she hadn't felt in hours. Hope. Small, fragile, but there. She wasn't alone. She had Charlie. She had Grace. She had evidence. She had truth. Vaughn had money and power, but Cassie had survived. She'd brought her daughter safely into the world despite everything. That had to count for something. She closed her eyes, let herself sleep. In her dreams, she wasn't falling. She was standing, strong, immovable, and Vaughn was the one who tumbled into the void. Morning came too bright. Sunlight streamed through the hospital window. Cassie woke to Grace crying, hungry. She lifted the baby carefully. Her left arm protested. The pain was worse today, sharper. The adrenaline from yesterday had worn off. Now she felt everything. Grace latched on, nursed eagerly, her little fists kneaded against Cassie's chest. The rhythm was soothing, natural. For a few minutes, the world narrowed to just this, just feeding her daughter, just being a mother. A nurse came in, checked vitals, adjusted monitors, smiled at Cassie with practiced sympathy. You have visitors, she said. Your husband is here. Cassie's blood went cold. What? Mr. Mitchell. He's in the waiting room with his lawyer. He's been asking to see you and the baby. No, Cassie pulled Grace closer. No, he can't come in here. Ma'am, he's your husband, father of the baby. I can't legally prevent. Call Detective Holloway. Right now, he tried to kill me. He can't be here. The nurse's expression changed, professional calm sliding into uncertainty. I'll call security and the detective. Just stay here, lock the door after I leave. She hurried out. Cassie put Grace back in the bassinet, went to the door, turned the lock. Her hands shook. Vaughn was here, in this building, close enough to hear if she screamed. What was he doing? Coming to the hospital? After last night? After leaving her to die on the highway? Did he think he could just walk in, play the worried husband, gaslight her in front of doctors and nurses? Yes, that was exactly what he thought. Because that was exactly what he'd always done. Manipulated reality. Made people see what he wanted them to see. He was good at it. Charming. Successful. The kind of man people trusted automatically. Footsteps in the hall. Voices. One of them was Vaughn. Cassie would recognize it anywhere. Smooth. Confident. That slight southern accent he played up or down depending on his audience. I don't understand the problem, Vaughn said. My wife just had our baby. I'm here to see them, to make sure they are okay. Sir, you need to wait in the lobby. Security, male voice, firm but polite. The patient has requested no visitors. I'm not a visitor. I'm her husband. Sir, do you know who I am? Vaughn Mitchell, CEO of Vortex Tech. I employ 3,000 people in this state. My company donates millions to this hospital system. And you're telling me I can't see my own wife? Cassie heard it, the shift in his voice, the threat underneath the politeness. This was Vaughn when he didn't get what he wanted. Cold, calculating, wielding power like a weapon. Another voice, older, male. Mr. Mitchell, I'm hospital administration. We're aware of your contributions. But we also have a duty to our patients. If Mrs. Mitchell doesn't want to see you, we have to respect that. She's traumatized, not thinking clearly. She gave birth on a highway. That's not normal. Obviously, she needs psychiatric evaluation. That's not your call to make. I'm her husband. It absolutely is my call. I'm concerned for her well-being, for our daughter's safety. Cassie pressed her ear to the door, listened to Vaughn spin his narrative, planting seeds of doubt, making her sound unstable, dangerous even. She'd heard him do this before, in business meetings, negotiations. He was brilliant at it, found people's weaknesses, exploited them, made them question their own judgment. Detective Holloway's voice cut through. Mr. Mitchell, I've been trying to reach you. Detective, I just heard about the incident. I've been in meetings all day, phone on silent. I came as soon as I got the messages. Where were you yesterday, between 6 and 8 p.m.? At my office, working late. I can provide security footage, key card logs, multiple witnesses. Lies, smooth as silk, delivered without hesitation. Cassie knew Vaughn could produce that evidence. He owned the building, controlled the security system. He'd manufacture whatever proof he needed. We have dash cam footage, Holloway said, from Interstate 40, shows a figure falling from a vehicle. Timestamp matches Mrs. Mitchell's account. Silence, just for a second. Then Vaughn's voice, concerned, confused. Perfect. That's terrible, but I don't understand what it has to do with me. I was at the office. Cassie was home. Or I thought she was home. I didn't know she went out. The vehicle in the footage is a black Range Rover, registered to Vortex Tech. We have a fleet of company vehicles, 12 Range Rovers, all black, used by executives and clients. Anyone could have been driving it. Your wife says you were driving. She says your assistant, Sloan Hendricks, pushed her from the vehicle while it was moving. Vaughn made a sound, something between a laugh and a gasp, disbelief, hurt, perfectly performed. That's insane, he said. Why would I do that? She's my wife, the mother of my child. I love her. Mrs. Mitchell says she found text messages, planning to divorce her after the baby was born. Take custody, claims she had postpartum depression. My wife is paranoid, Vaughn said. His voice dropped, confidential, like he was sharing a painful secret. It started about 2 months ago. She accused me of having an affair with Sloan, with multiple women. None of it was true. I suggested therapy. She went to 3 sessions, then stopped. Said the therapist was conspiring against her. More lies. Cassie had never said that. She'd stopped therapy because Vaughn scheduled the appointments during her doctor visits, made it impossible to attend both. When she mentioned the conflict, he'd said it wasn't important. They could reschedule. They never did. Her obstetrician was concerned, Vaughn continued, can check with Dr. Harrison. He noted symptoms of anxiety, paranoid ideation. We were monitoring it carefully, planning to increase support after the birth. Cassie wanted to scream, wanted to throw open the door, confront him, but she knew better. That was what he wanted, for her to seem emotional, unstable, out of control. It would only support his narrative. A new voice, crisp, professional, female. Detective, I'm Sarah Chen, Mr. Mitchell's attorney. Unless you're charging my client with a crime, this interview is over. Wrong. Cassie caught it immediately. The name was wrong. Vaughn's corporate attorney was named Sarah, but the last name was Chen, Asian last name, except now Cassie was second-guessing herself. Had she misheard? Was she confusing details because she was exhausted? Traumatized? Maybe Vaughn was right. Maybe she was losing her mind. No, she stopped that thought, shut it down hard. That was what he did. Made her doubt herself, question her own memory, her own perception of reality. She wasn't crazy. She knew what happened. We're investigating an attempted murder, Holloway said. Mr. Mitchell is a person of interest. Based on what evidence? Grainy video footage that doesn't show faces or license plates? The testimony of a woman who, by your own admission, just experienced significant trauma? Based on physical evidence, witness statements, and Mr. Mitchell's suspicious behavior, refusing to answer calls, not returning home. My client was working. He's a CEO. He has a company to run, and he's here now, trying to see his wife and newborn daughter. Behavior that seems entirely appropriate for a concerned husband and father. They were circling, dancing around each other. Vaughn had prepared for this. Of course he had. He'd had all night. While Cassie lay in a hospital bed bleeding and scared, he'd been with his lawyer, building his defense, constructing his version of reality. Mr. Mitchell, Holloway said, I need you to come to the station. Give a formal statement. Provide access to your vehicle for examination. Which vehicle? The lawyer asked. As he said, Vortex Tech owns 12 black Range Rovers. The one he was driving yesterday. He wasn't driving yesterday. He was at the office. We've already established that. Then he won't mind providing DNA samples for comparison. We'll consider that request with our own experts present under controlled conditions after we've reviewed all evidence the police claim to have. This is a delaying tactic, Holloway said. This is due process, the lawyer countered. My client is cooperating fully. But we're not going to let you railroad him based on the confused accusations of a traumatized woman. Cassie heard footsteps. Moving away, Vaughn and his lawyer leaving. Then a knock on her door. Mrs. Mitchell, it's Detective Holloway. They're gone. Cassie unlocked the door, opened it. Holloway stood in the hallway. She looked frustrated, angry, but also resigned. He's good, Holloway said. I'll give him that. Already has his story locked down. Alibis, witnesses, documents. It's almost like he knew this was coming. He did know, Cassie said. He planned all of this. The text message I found, that was a mistake. He didn't mean for me to see it. But everything else? He's been setting this up for weeks, maybe months. Holloway pulled out her phone, showed Cassie a photo. Sloane Hendricks, professional headshot, blonde hair, perfect makeup, beautiful in that carefully constructed way that screamed expensive. Recognize her? That's Sloane, his assistant. When we can't find her, she's not at her apartment, not answering her phone. Her family says they haven't heard from her. She's with him, or he's hidden her somewhere. Probably we're tracking her phone, credit cards. But if she's smart, she'll have ditched the phone using cash. What about the Range Rover? You can test all of them. Find my DNA, blood evidence. We can request that, but it takes time. Warrants, judges, and Vaughn's lawyers will fight every step. By the time we get access, the vehicles will be detailed. Evidence destroyed. Cassie felt hope slipping away. Vaughn was going to win. He had money and lawyers and time. She had nothing. Grace started crying, hungry again. Cassie went to the bassinet, picked up her daughter, felt the solid weight of her, the realness. This was what mattered, not Vaughn, not the investigation, her daughter, keeping her safe. There's something else, Holloway said. Vaughn's lawyer filed paperwork this morning. Emergency custody hearing, Friday at 9 a.m. They're asking for temporary sole custody, claiming you're a danger to the child. What? Cassie almost dropped Grace. He can't do that. He can try. Judge will decide. But you need to understand, Vaughn has resources, character witnesses, the therapy notes showing your anxiety. He'll paint a picture, make you look unstable. I'm her mother. I just gave birth to her on a highway while bleeding. I kept her safe. I know, but courts look at stability, resources, home environment. Vaughn can provide all of that. What can you provide? The question hung in the air, heavy, damning. Cassie had no home, no child, no money. Her only asset was the truth, and truth didn't always win. The door opened again. A woman walked in, short dark hair, pantsuit, carrying a leather briefcase. She looked like she'd driven all night. Probably had. Charlie, Cassie breathed. Charlotte Brennan surveyed the room, took in Cassie's bandages, the baby. Detective Holloway's presence. Her expression hardened. Somebody want to tell me who I need to destroy? Charlie Brennan didn't waste time. She set her own briefcase on the visitor's chair, pulled out a legal pad, started taking notes while Cassie explained everything. Again, from the beginning, the text message, the confrontation with Vaughn, the phone call from Sloane, getting in the car, the push. Detective Holloway added details, the dash cam footage, Vaughn's alibi, the missing Sloane, The emergency custody hearing scheduled for Friday, 3 days away. When they finished, Charlie was quiet for a long moment. She tapped her pen against the legal pad, thinking, calculating. Cassie had seen this before. Charlie's mind was like a computer, processing information, finding patterns, building strategy. Okay, Charlie finally said, first priority is the custody hearing. We cannot let Vaughn get temporary custody. Once he has Grace, it becomes exponentially harder to get her back. How do we stop him? Cassie asked. We build our own narrative. Show you're stable, capable, loving mother, victim of attempted murder, not perpetrator of unstable behavior. With what evidence? With the truth. Dr. Foster documented your injuries. Paramedic Sullivan witnessed the birth, wrote in her report that you told her about the push immediately, before you could have constructed a false story. That's powerful. Vaughn has his therapist notes, Cassie said. Proof I was anxious, paranoid. Proof you were a pregnant woman dealing with normal stress. We'll get our own expert, psychologist who will testify that your behavior was entirely appropriate given the circumstances. In 3 days? I know people, they owe me favors. Charlie turned to Holloway. The dash cam footage. Can we get a copy? Enhanced audio? I can provide it for the hearing. Good, we'll need that. Also need to depose the truck driver, get his statement on record. He saw the Range Rover. Can testify to the timeline. Already have his information, Holloway said. Happy to coordinate. Charlie made more notes. Her handwriting was sharp, precise, like everything about her. She'd been top of their law school class, could have worked anywhere, chose corporate law because it paid well and let her destroy bad people legally. What about the criminal investigation, Charlie asked. Where are you on charging Vaughn? Complicated, Holloway admitted. We have circumstantial evidence, but his alibi is solid, or appears solid. Security footage shows him at Vortex Tech headquarters from 3 p.m. to 9 p.m. Key card logs confirm it. Multiple witnesses say they saw him in meetings. Anyone verify he never left the building? His assistant confirms he was there all day, but his assistant is Sloan, Cassie said. Who was in the car with him? So she's lying. Probably, but proving it is difficult. The security footage is continuous. If he left, we should see it. Unless he controls the security system, Charlie said, which as CEO he probably does. He could edit the footage, create gaps, make it look like he was there when he wasn't. We'd need digital forensics experts. That takes time, money, resources. Which is what Vaughn is counting on, Charlie said grimly. He knows how the system works. Delay, obfuscate, throw up barriers until witnesses forget details. Evidence disappears. The case falls apart. Cassie felt the weight of it settling on her shoulders. Vaughn wasn't just rich. He was smart, strategic. He'd been planning this, maybe for months, since the moment she got pregnant, since he realized she wasn't going to be convenient anymore. Grace stirred in her arms, made little snuffling sounds. Cassie looked down at her daughter's face. So perfect, so vulnerable. This baby didn't ask to be born into this nightmare. Didn't deserve a father who tried to kill her mother. Didn't deserve to be fought over like property in a court battle. I won't let him take her, Cassie said. Her voice was steady, certain. Whatever it takes, I won't let him take her. Then we fight, Charlie said. But I need you to understand something. This is going to get ugly. Vaughn will attack your character, dig up every mistake you've ever made, every bad decision, every moment of weakness. He'll twist it, use it against you. I don't have anything to hide. Everyone has something, and the question is whether it's bad enough to matter. Charlie paused. Have you ever used drugs, even recreationally in college? No. Never? Not even marijuana? Never. Good. What about alcohol? Any history of drinking too much? I had wine sometimes. Before I got pregnant, normal social drinking. Define normal. Glass or two at dinner, maybe 3 at parties. I never drove drunk, never blacked out, never had a problem. Vaughn will find witnesses who say otherwise. Someone who saw you tipsy at a holiday party, who'll testify you were intoxicated, out of control. That's not true. Doesn't matter. Truth is flexible in family court, especially when you're up against someone with Vaughn's resources. The door opened. A nurse entered with a wheelchair, said it was time for Grace's pediatric exam. They needed to check her thoroughly, make sure she was developing properly despite being 5 weeks premature. Cassie didn't want to let her go, held Grace tighter. The nurse smiled gently. Only be about 30 minutes. She'll be right down the hall. You can come with if you want. Cassie looked at her bandages, her injuries. She could barely walk on her own. Getting in and out of a wheelchair would be agony. But Grace needed this, needed to be examined. Make sure the trauma of her birth hadn't caused hidden problems. I'll go with her, Charlie said. Stay with Grace the whole time. Make sure everything is documented properly. You don't have to. Yes, I do. Right now, every interaction matters. Every medical note, every witness statement. We need documentation showing you're an attentive mother, that Grace is your priority. Not that you need to prove it, but Vaughn will say otherwise. So we need evidence. They left, Cassie alone with Detective Holloway. The silence stretched. Outside, morning shift change. Nurses talking, equipment rolling past. Normal hospital sounds. But nothing felt normal. You're lucky, Holloway finally said. Having a friend like that. I know. Most victims don't. They're isolated. No support system, no resources. They face their abusers alone. It rarely ends well. Is that what I am, a victim? Holloway met her eyes. You're a survivor. There's a difference. Victims let it destroy them. Survivors fight back. I don't feel like a fighter. I feel tired, scared. That's normal. You've been through hell, but you survived. Your daughter survived. That takes strength most people don't have. Cassie wanted to believe her, wanted to feel strong. Instead, she felt hollowed out, fragile, like if someone touched her wrong, she'd shatter completely. Her phone buzzed, unknown number. She almost didn't answer, but something made her pick up. Hello? Cassie, Vaughn's voice, warm, concerned, the voice she'd fallen in love with 6 years ago. Thank God. Are you okay? Is the baby okay? Don't call me. I've been so worried the hospital won't let me see you. I don't understand what's happening. You know exactly what's happening. You tried to kill me. Silence, then Asaima. Disappointed. You're not well, sweetheart. The trauma, the stress, it's affecting your judgment. You need help. I need you to stay away from me and Grace. Grace? You named her Grace? But we agreed on Charlotte. We didn't agree on anything. You decided, like you decide everything. But not this time. She's my daughter. And you're not coming near her. Our daughter, she's our daughter, and I have rights, legal rights. The court will see that. Friday at 9 a.m. I'll see you there. He hung up. Cassie stared at the phone. Her hands trembled. That was what he did. Got it in her head, made her doubt herself. Used that voice, that tone, like he was the reasonable one, like she was the crazy one. He recorded that, Holloway said. The phone call, he'll use it as evidence. Show how erratic you sound, how accusatory. I didn't say anything wrong. Doesn't matter. He's building a case. Every interaction is ammunition. Be careful. Don't engage with him. Not on phone, not through text. Everything goes through lawyers from now on. Charlie returned with Grace. The baby was crying, hungry again. Charlie looked grim. What happened? Cassie asked. Vaughn showed up at the pediatric unit, tried to take Grace, said as her father he had a right. Security stopped him, but barely. He's not going to wait for the hearing. He's trying to take her now. He can't do that. He can try. We need to get you out of this hospital. Today, before he comes back with a court order or just physically removes Grace. Where do we go? My apartment in Memphis, 3 hours away, out of his immediate reach. We can file emergency protective orders. Build our case without him hovering. I can't leave. Dr. Foster wants to monitor me for 24 hours. Make sure there's no internal bleeding. Then we get you discharged AMA, against medical advice. It's risky, but staying here is riskier. Cassie looked at Holloway. The detective nodded slowly. She's right. Vaughn has connections here. This hospital receives significant donations from Vortex Tech. He could pressure administration. Get access. We can't protect you 24/7. What about Grace? Is she okay to travel? Pediatrician says she's healthy, small but strong. No complications from premature birth. As long as she's monitored, travel should be fine. It was decided they'd leave within the hour. Charlie made calls, arranged for a car service, not traceable to either of them, paid in cash. She moved like a general organizing troops, efficient, focused, terrifying to watch. Dr. Foster came in, listened to their plan, frowned. I don't recommend this, he said. You need rest. Monitoring. What if there are complications? What if my husband takes my daughter? Cassie countered. What if I never see her again? He had no answer for that. Signed the discharge papers. Made Cassie promise to see a doctor in Memphis. Get follow-up care. She promised. Would have promised anything to get out of this hospital, away from Vaughn's reach. An hour later, they were ready. Cassie dressed in clothes Charlie brought. Loose sweatpants, oversized t-shirt, sneakers. Her own clothes were still evidence, bagged and tagged by police. She'd never wear them again. Didn't want to. Grace was strapped into a car seat, brand new. Charlie had stopped at a store on the way to the hospital, bought everything, car seat, diapers, formula, clothes, blankets, all the things Cassie had spent months carefully selecting, all packed in bags in the penthouse, Vaughn's penthouse. She'd never see those things again either. Charlie wheeled Cassie out a side entrance, service elevator, loading dock. The car was waiting. Black sedan, driver who didn't ask questions, just loaded their bags and pulled away. Cassie watched the hospital disappear in the side mirror. Somewhere in that building, Vaughn was probably still arguing with security, demanding access, threatening lawsuits, using his power and money to get what he wanted. But he wouldn't get Grace. Not today. Not if Cassie had anything to say about it. They drove east, Interstate 40, the same road where Cassie had been pushed, where Grace had been born. Cassie tried not to look out the window, tried not to think about it, but every mile marker made her flinch. Every curve in the road made her grip the armrest. Charlie noticed, reached over, squeezed her hand. You're safe, she said. I've got you. Cassie nodded, didn't trust her voice, looked down at Grace sleeping in her car seat, so peaceful, so oblivious. Her daughter would never remember this day, would never know she'd been born on a highway shoulder, would never remember the first 2 days of her life spent running from her own father. Cassie would make sure of that, would make sure Grace grew up safe, loved, far away from Vaughn Mitchell and his cruelty, whatever it took, however long it took. She closed her eyes, let the motion of the car lull her, let herself rest, because tomorrow the real fight would begin, and she needed to be ready. Charlie's apartment was small, 1 bedroom in downtown Memphis, 7th floor, city views, hardwood floors, minimalist furniture. It was neat, organized, exactly what Cassie expected from Charlie. Everything in its place. No clutter, no mess. Cassie slept on the couch, Grace in a bassinet beside her. Charlie insisted Cassie take the bedroom. Cassie refused. She couldn't sleep alone. Needed to be near Grace, needed to hear her breathing. Confirm she was real. Safe. Still here. The first night, Cassie didn't sleep at all. Just watched Grace. Listened to Memphis traffic outside. Police sirens, car horns, city sounds. Different from their quiet penthouse neighborhood. She'd miss that. The peace, the luxury. No, she stopped herself. She wouldn't miss anything about that life. It had been a beautiful prison, comfortable being Vaughn's world, Vaughn's rules. She'd been decorative, useful, until she wasn't. Morning came too fast. Friday, the custody hearing was at 9 a.m. Charlie had spent 2 days preparing, filing emergency motions, gathering evidence, lining up witnesses. She worked 18-hour days, lived on coffee and determination. They left at 7:30, drove back to Tennessee, to the courthouse where Judge Anderson would decide Grace's fate, where Vaughn would try to take everything. The courthouse was old, limestone and marble, built in the 1800s, grand, imposing, designed to make people feel small, Powerless. It worked. Vaughn was already there, standing outside courtroom three with his legal team. Not just one lawyer, four, all in expensive suits, designer watches, briefcases that cost more than most people's cars. They looked confident, relaxed, like this was already won. Vaughn saw Cassie. His expression shifted, concern, worry, perfect mask sliding into place. He started toward her. Charlie stepped between them. Don't, Charlie said. Communication goes through counsel only. I just want to see my daughter, Vaughn said. He looked past Charlie, directly at Cassie, those blue eyes she'd once loved. Please, Cassie, let me see her. 5 minutes. That's all I'm asking. Cassie held Grace tighter. The baby was awake, looking around with unfocused newborn eyes, completely unaware of the battle being waged over her. You tried to kill me, Cassie said. Her voice was steady, clear. You don't get to see her. I would never hurt you. I love you. Whatever you think happened, I don't think I know. I was there. Sloane's hands on my shoulders, your face in the mirror, laughing. You laughed while I fell. Vaughn's lawyers moved closer. One of them, the lead counsel, stepped forward. Perfectly styled gray hair, cold eyes. She spoke with clipped precision. Mrs. Mitchell, I advise you not to make unfounded accusations. Slander can have legal consequences. Truth isn't slander, Charlie shot back. And my client has every right to speak about her own attempted murder. Alleged attempted murder. No charges have been filed. No evidence substantiates these wild claims. Dash cam footage, medical evidence, witness testimony. Sounds like substantial evidence to me. Sounds like a traumatized woman with faulty memory. The court will sort it out. They went inside. Courtroom 3 was smaller than Cassie expected. Wood paneling, rows of benches, judge's bench elevated, American flag in the corner. Everything designed to convey authority, power, order. Judge Anderson was already seated. Older man, maybe 65, gray beard, reading glasses perched on his nose. He looked bored, like he'd rather be anywhere else. This was just another case, another family destroying itself, nothing special. All rise for the Honorable Judge Timothy Anderson, the bailiff announced. They stood, sat. The judge shuffled papers, looked up. Case number 45789, Mitchell versus Mitchell, emergency custody petition. Mr. Harwick, you're representing the petitioner? Yes, Your Honor. One of Vaughn's lawyers stood, tall, distinguished, expensive haircut. Jonathan Harwick representing Mr. Vaughn Mitchell. And for the respondent? Charlotte Brennan representing Mrs. Cassandra Mitchell, Your Honor. Proceed, Mr. Harwick. Harwick stood, addressed the court with practiced ease. He'd done this 1,000 times, knew exactly what to say, how to say it. Your Honor, my client is here seeking emergency temporary custody of his newborn daughter, Grace Mitchell, born 3 days ago under traumatic circumstances. Mr. Mitchell has significant concerns about the mother's mental stability and the child's safety. He presented his evidence. The therapy notes from 2 months ago, Cassie's complaints about anxiety, stress, difficulty sleeping. He made it sound sinister, like symptoms of mental illness, not normal pregnancy concerns. Then he called Vaughn to testify. Vaughn took the stand, raised his right hand, swore to tell the truth. Cassie wanted to scream. He didn't know what truth was. Mr. Mitchell, Harwick said, please describe your concerns about your wife's mental state. Vaughn looked at the judge, not at Cassie, smart. He knew looking at her would seem confrontational, aggressive. Instead, he projected worry, sadness. It started about 2 months ago, Vaughn said. Cassie became paranoid, accused me of having affairs with my assistant, with colleagues, women I'd never even met. At first, I thought it was pregnancy hormones, but it escalated. How so? She'd go through my phone, my emails, follow me to the office, show up unannounced at meetings. She was convinced I was hiding something. When I suggested therapy, she agreed, but only went to 3 sessions. Said the therapist was conspiring with me against her. Lies. Cassie never followed him, never showed up unannounced. She'd looked through his phone once, Found the text from Sloan. That was it. But Vaughn made it sound obsessive, irrational. What happened 3 days ago? Harrick asked. I was at work, evening meetings with investors. Around 9 p.m., I got a call from the hospital saying Cassie had been in an accident, given birth on the highway. I rushed over immediately, but they wouldn't let me see her. She was making wild accusations, saying I'd pushed her from a car, that Sloan and I had tried to kill her. And had you? Absolutely not. I was at my office. I have security footage. Witness testimony. I wasn't anywhere near Interstate 40. I don't know what happened to Cassie, but it wasn't what she's claiming. What do you think happened? Vaughn paused, composed himself. When he spoke, his voice was thick with emotion. I think she jumped. I think the stress and paranoia overwhelmed her. She had a break with reality, and she jumped from a vehicle. Maybe she was trying to hurt herself. Maybe she was trying to hurt the baby. I don't know, but I can't let Grace be exposed to that kind of instability. Perfect performance. Cassie watched the judge, saw his expression. He was buying it, every word, every carefully crafted lie. Charlie cross-examined, tried to poke holes, asked about the dash cam footage, the audio of laughing. Vaughn had an answer for everything. The video was too grainy to identify. The audio could be anyone. He had alibis, witnesses, documentation. Then it was Cassie's turn. She took the stand, told her story, described Sloan's hands on her shoulders, the push, Vaughn's face in the mirror, his smile, giving birth on the highway, the injuries, the evidence. Harwick tore her apart. Mrs. Mitchell, you admit you've been experiencing anxiety. Yes, but difficulty sleeping. During pregnancy, yes, that's normal. Paranoid thoughts about your husband's fidelity? They weren't paranoid. I found evidence. What evidence? A text message from Sloan to Vaughn about divorcing me, taking custody. Do you have this text message? I took a photo on my phone, but my phone was lost during the incident. How convenient. I didn't lose it on purpose. It flew from my hand when I was pushed. Or when you jumped. I didn't jump. I was pushed. By my client, who you claim was driving, despite security footage showing him at his office. He edited the footage, or had someone else do it. Do you have proof of this editing? No, but no proof, just theories, accusations. Mrs. Mitchell, isn't it true that you're angry with my client, that you found evidence of an affair and wanted revenge? I wanted truth. I wanted him to admit what he'd done. And when he didn't, you fabricated this story, threw yourself from a car, endangered your unborn child, all to make him look guilty. That's insane. Is it? You admit you've been experiencing mental health issues, anxiety, paranoia. You admit you jumped from a moving vehicle while pregnant. That's not the behavior of a stable person. I didn't jump. I was pushed. So you say, but there's no evidence, just your work against my clients. And my client has documentation. Witnesses, footage, you have nothing. He was right. Cassie had nothing, just her truth, her memory, her injuries that Dr. Foster said were consistent with being pushed, but could also be consistent with jumping, could be consistent with anything. The judge called for a recess. They'd resume in 30 minutes. Cassie went to the bathroom, splashed water on her face, looked at herself in the mirror. She barely recognized the woman staring back. Hollow eyes, pale skin, bruises still visible on her neck. She'd been destroyed on that stand, humiliated, made to sound crazy, everything she said twisted, used against her. And the worst part, she could see it working, could see the doubt in the judge's eyes, the skepticism. Charlie found her, handed her paper towels. I know that was hard, Charlie said. He's going to win. Judge Anderson doesn't believe me. We're not done yet. I have witnesses. Dr. Foster will testify about your injuries. Paramedic Sullivan will describe finding you. Detective Holloway will present the dash cam footage. It won't matter. Vaughn has an answer for everything. He's thought this through, planned it perfectly. Then we need to be smarter. Find the thing he didn't plan for. They went back to the courtroom. Charlie called her witnesses. Dr. Foster testified. described Cassie's injuries. Road rash, sprained wrist, pattern consistent with a fall from a moving vehicle. But on cross-examination, Harwick got him to admit the injuries could also be consistent with a jump, with self-inflicted harm. Maggie Sullivan testified, described finding Cassie on the highway, how she'd immediately said she was pushed, how she'd named Vaughn, named Sloan, but Harwick pointed out that Cassie was in shock, traumatized, could have been confused, mistaken. Detective Holloway presented the dashcam footage. They played it in court. Cassie watched herself fall, watched the Range Rover drive away, heard the audio, that laugh, Vaughn's voice saying, "Did you see her face?" The judge watched, listened, frowned. "Voice identification?" he asked Holloway. "We sent it to experts. They say it's consistent with Mr. Mitchell's voice, but not definitive. Audio quality is poor. Could be anyone. License plate? Too grainy. Can't make it out." The judge leaned back, removed his glasses, rubbed his eyes. "This is difficult," he said. "I have two conflicting narratives. Mrs. Mitchell claims she was pushed. Mr. Mitchell claims she jumped. The evidence is inconclusive. The video doesn't definitively show what happened. The audio is questionable. Medical evidence supports both scenarios." "Your Honor," Charlie said, "the pattern of behavior is also inconclusive. Mr. Mitchell has no history of violence, no criminal record. He's a respected businessman, philanthropist. By all accounts, a model citizen." "He's a master manipulator," Cassie said. She stood without permission. Couldn't help it. "He's been planning this for months, setting me up, making me look crazy. Everything is calculated, including this performance." The judge's expression hardened. "Mrs. Mitchell, sit down. Outbursts like that don't help your case. Because that's what he wants. For me to seem emotional, unstable. But I'm not. I'm a mother protecting my child from a man who tried to kill me. Sit down." Cassie sat. Charlie put a hand on her arm. "Squeeze that" meant stop talking. "You're making it worse." But Cassie couldn't stop. Couldn't let Vaughn win by playing the system's game. Judge Anderson shuffled his papers, made notes, finally looked up. "Here's my ruling. Temporary custody will go to the father, Mr. Vaughn Mitchell." Cassie's world tilted. No, this couldn't be happening. Mother will have supervised visitation, 4 hours per day, supervised by a court-appointed observer. Child will reside with the paternal grandmother, Evelyn Mitchell, until further evaluation. "Your Honor," Charlie began, "my decision is final. Unless new evidence emerges, this arrangement stands. We'll revisit in 30 days, evaluate both parents' mental states, determine permanent custody at that time." He banged his gavel, stood, left the courtroom. It was over. Vaughn had won. Cassie looked at Grace in her arms. The baby was sleeping, peaceful, unaware that she was being taken, that her father, who had tried to kill her mother, was now being given custody, rewarded for his cruelty with complete control. A bailiff approached. "Mrs. Mitchell, I need to take the child." "No." "Ma'am, judge's orders. You can have your supervised visit starting tomorrow. But right now, the child goes with Mr. Mitchell's mother." Evelyn Mitchell stood near Vaughn. She was in her 60s, elegant, cold. She'd never liked Cassie, thought she wasn't good enough for her son. Came from the wrong family, wrong class. Now she'd raise Grace, turn her against Cassie, make her believe Vaughn's lies. "Please," Cassie whispered. "Please don't take her." The bailiff reached for Grace. Cassie pulled away. Charlie grabbed her arm. "Cassie, let her go. If you resist, they'll charge you with contempt. You'll lose all visitation rights." I can't give her to them." "You have to, for now. We'll appeal. Fight this, but right now, you have to let her go." Cassie looked at her daughter, memorized her face, the tiny nose, perfect rosebud mouth, dark hair. In a month, she'd look different, change so fast, and Cassie would miss it. Miss everything, because Vaughn had won. She kissed Grace's forehead, whispered against her skin, "I love you. I will come back for you. I promise." Then she handed her daughter to the bailiff, watched as Evelyn took Grace, watched Vaughn put his hand on his mother's shoulder, watched them walk out of the courtroom with her child. And Cassie broke. Charlie drove them back to Memphis in silence. Cassie sat in the passenger seat, stared out the window, saw nothing, felt nothing. Empty, hollowed out, a shell. Grace was gone, with Vaughn's mother, in Vaughn's world, and Cassie was powerless to stop it. They reached Charlie's apartment, went inside. Cassie sat on the couch, the same couch where she'd slept with Grace beside her. Now the bassinet was empty, silent. The apartment felt too quiet, wrong. "I'll make coffee," Charlie said. Cassie didn't respond, didn't move, just sat, breathing, existing, nothing more. Charlie brought coffee. Cassie didn't drink it. It sat on the table, growing cold. Charlie tried to talk, discuss next steps, appeal process. Cassie didn't listen. The words washed over her, meaningless. Night fell. Charlie ordered food. Cassie didn't eat. Charlie tried again to engage. Plan, strategize. Cassie went to the bathroom, locked the door, stood in the shower, fully clothed, let the water run over her. Hot enough to hurt. She didn't care. This was her fault. She'd gotten in the car with Sloan, trusted Vaughn too long, ignored the signs, the red flags, the way he controlled everything, made decisions without consulting her, isolated her from friends, from family. Classic abuser tactics. She'd known them, studied them in college, women's studies class. She'd been smart enough to recognize the patterns in theory, but not in her own life, not when it was happening to her. She'd been stupid, naive, weak, and now Grace was paying the price. Cassie turned off the water, got out, dried off, changed into dry clothes, went back to the couch, lay down, closed her eyes, wished she could disappear. "Cassie," Charlie's voice, gentle, concerned. "You need to eat something. I'm not hungry. You need to keep your strength up for Grace. Grace is gone. Not forever. We're going to get her back." How? The judge believed Vaughn. Everyone believes Vaughn. He's rich, powerful, connected. I'm nobody. You're her mother. That didn't matter. The system doesn't care. It protects people like Vaughn. People with money, power. People like me, we're disposable. Charlie sat beside her, put a hand on her shoulder. "I know this feels impossible, but we're not giving up. I've already filed an appeal, requested emergency review. We'll get another hearing." And then what? Present the same evidence? Have Vaughn tear me apart again? Watch another judge side with him? I can't do this, Charlie. I can't keep fighting when the system is rigged against me. Then what do you want to do? Give up? Let Vaughn win? Let him raise Grace to believe his lies? Cassie didn't answer, because she didn't know. Every option felt impossible. Fighting was futile. Giving up was unthinkable. She was trapped, cornered, with no way out. Her phone rang. Unknown number. She almost didn't answer, but muscle memory made her pick up. "Hello? Cassie, it's Evelyn, Vaughn's mother." Cassie sat up. "Where's Grace? Is she okay?" "She's fine, sleeping. Beautiful baby. Looks like Vaughn did when he was born." Cassie's chest tightened. "Why are you calling?" Silence. Then Evelyn spoke. Her voice was different, quieter, less certain. "I saw you today, in the courtroom, the way you held her, looked at her. That's real. A mother's love. It can't be faked. I love her more than anything. I know, that's why I'm calling. I need to tell you something. About Vaughn, about his father." Cassie waited, heard Evelyn take a breath, deep, steadying. "My husband was like Vaughn," Evelyn said, "charming, successful, beloved by everyone. But at home, he was cruel, controlling. He didn't hit me, never left marks. But he destroyed me in other ways, made me doubt myself, my sanity, my worth. I stayed for 30 years, told myself it was for Vaughn, that he needed a stable home. But really, I was too afraid to leave, too conditioned to think I couldn't survive without him. Why are you telling me this?" "Because I see Vaughn becoming his father. Maybe he always was, maybe I didn't want to admit it. But watching him today, the way he performed, the lies that came so easily, I recognized it. I've been living with it my whole life. Then help me. Tell the judge. Be a witness. I can't. He's my son. And legally, I have no proof, just observations, suspicions, a lifetime of experience that taught me how abusers operate. But Judge Anderson won't care about that. He'll say I'm a bitter mother-in-law, that I have ulterior motives. So what do I do? You fight, you keep fighting, even when it feels hopeless. Because Grace deserves better, deserves a mother who doesn't give up, who doesn't let men like Vaughn win. I don't know how. Yes, you do. You survived being thrown from a moving car, gave birth on a highway, faced down Vaughn in court. You're stronger than you think, stronger than I ever was. Don't waste that strength on despair. Use it to get your daughter back. Evelyn hung up. Cassie stared at the phone. Charlie was watching her. Who was that? Charlie asked. Evelyn, Vaughn's mother. What did she want? To tell me not to give up. Cassie stood, felt something shift inside her. Not hope exactly, but something close. Determination. Fury. We need to find Sloan. She's the key. If we can get her to testify, tell the truth about what happened. Vaughn's alibi falls apart. Police are looking for her. No luck so far. They're looking in the wrong places. Sloan isn't hiding from police. She's hiding from Vaughn, afraid he'll hurt her. Silence her. Make her disappear. How do you know? Because that's what he does. Controls people. Makes them afraid. Sloan helped him try to kill me. Now she's a liability. He'll either pay her off or get rid of her. Maybe both. Charlie pulled out her laptop. Started typing. We need to find her first, before Vaughn does. What do we know about her? Cassie thought. Remembered details from the few times she'd met Sloan. Conversations overheard. Comments Vaughn made. She has student loans, or had them. Vaughn paid them off. That's how he controls her. Financial dependence. She went to Yale, MBA, graduated 3 years ago, worked at 2 other companies before Vortex Tech. Both jobs ended after 6 to 8 months. Why? I don't know, she never said, but there were sealed settlements, non-disclosure agreements. Charlie, what if Vaughn has done this before? What if Sloan has been involved? Charlie stopped typing, looked at Cassie. You think there are other victims? I think men like Vaughn don't start with an attempted murder. They escalate, build up to it. There has to be a pattern. Other women, other incidents. If we can find them, we can establish a pattern. Show the court that this isn't an isolated incident, that Vaughn is dangerous, predatory. My sister, Charlie said suddenly. Julia, she's an investigative journalist. She can dig, find things lawyers and police can't or won't. She made a call, put it on speaker. A woman answered, sleepy, annoyed. Charlie, it's midnight. This better be good. It's important. I need you to investigate someone. Vaughn Mitchell, CEO of Vortex Tech. I need everything, especially anything involving women, settlements, endies, incidents that were covered up. What's this about? He tried to kill my friend, threw her from a moving car while she was 8 months pregnant. Now he has custody of her baby. We need to destroy him. Silence. Then Julia's voice, sharp, alert. Send me everything you have. I'll start digging tonight. They spent the next hour compiling information. Everything Cassie knew about Vaughn, his business, his associates, his history. Charlie sent it all to Julia. When they finished, it was past 2 a.m. Cassie was exhausted, but also wired. For the first time since the courtroom, she felt something other than despair. Purpose, direction, a plan. We're going to get her back, Charlie said. Grace, we're going to prove Vaughn is dangerous. Get the custody order reversed. Make sure he never sees either of you again. And if we can't, we will. Failure isn't an option. Not when a child's safety is at stake. Cassie lay down, closed her eyes. This time, she slept. Dreamless, exhausted sleep that her body needed. When she woke, sun was streaming through the windows. Her phone showed 8 missed calls, all from the same number. Detective Holloway. She called back. Holloway answered immediately. Cassie, Thank God we found something and blood evidence in one of the Range Rovers. Matches your DNA. Vaughn had the vehicle detailed the day after the incident, but they missed a spot. Door jamb, interior hinge. Your blood is there. Cassie's breath caught. That proves he was lying, that he was in the car. It proves someone was in that specific vehicle, but we still need to place Vaughn behind the wheel. He's claiming any employee could have been driving, that he doesn't track which vehicle he uses on any given day. That's ridiculous, but difficult to disprove. However, we have more. Security footage from a gas station, 12 miles from where you fell, shows the Range Rover, timestamp matches. We're enhancing the image, trying to identify the driver and passenger. How long will that take? Could be days, could be weeks, depends on image quality, budget, resources. We don't have weeks. The next custody hearing is in 30 days. We need something before then. I'm doing my best, but Cassie, this is good news, real evidence, not just testimony or speculation, physical proof that connects Vaughn to the scene. After she hung up, Cassie told Charlie. They spent the day planning, preparing, waiting for Julia to call back with whatever she found. The call came at 6 p.m. Charlie put it on speaker. I found something, Julia said. She sounded excited, triumphant. 3 women, all worked with Vaughn at previous companies, all signed settlements, all have NDAs. But I talked to one of them, off the record, Rebecca Torres. She agreed to meet, tell her story, despite the legal risk. What's her story? Cassie asked. She was seeing Vaughn, got pregnant, had an accident at a company retreat, fell downstairs, miscarried. Vaughn's company paid her $2 million, made her sign an NDA, agree never to speak about what happened. Does she think he pushed her? She knows he did, says she felt hands on her back, turned, saw his face. Then she was falling, but she couldn't prove it. Didn't have witnesses, cameras conveniently malfunctioned, so she took the money, disappeared, has been carrying that guilt ever since. Cassie closed her eyes. Another woman, another pregnancy, another attack. The pattern was there. Clear. Undeniable. Will she testify? Charlie asked. If we protect her, cover any penalties from breaking the NDA, provide security. She's afraid, but she wants to help. Doesn't want another woman to suffer what she did. Set up a meeting tomorrow. I'll draft the paperwork. Get her full immunity, protection, whatever she needs. There's more, Julia said. I found 2 other women, similar stories. One involved a car accident during pregnancy. Another had complications that required emergency termination. Both received settlements. Both signed NDAs. Both are terrified to speak. Keep working on them, Charlie said. We need as many as possible. Build an airtight case. They hung up. Cassie felt something unfamiliar. Hope. Real, tangible hope. They had evidence. Witnesses. A pattern. This could work. They could actually win. We need to move fast, Charlie said. File emergency motions. Request new hearing based on new evidence. Get these women's testimony on record before Vaughn can stop them. He'll try to silence them. Pay them more. Threaten them. Then we move faster, work harder, be smarter. We beat him to every move. Cassie nodded, felt energy returning. Strength she thought was gone. Evelyn was right. She'd survived too much to give up now. Grace needed her to fight, to win, to protect her from the man who tried to kill them both. She would fight, whatever it took, however long it took. She would get her daughter back. The next day, they met Rebecca Torres in a coffee shop. Downtown Memphis, public place, witnesses. Rebecca was early 30s, professional, beautiful in an understated way. She looked nervous, kept glancing at the door. Charlie and Cassie went across from her. Charlie spread documents on the table. Immunity agreement, witness protection plan. Everything Rebecca would need to testify safely. Thank you for meeting us, Charlie said. Rebecca wrapped her hands around her coffee cup. I almost didn't come. The NDA, the settlement. I signed away my right to speak. If I break it, I lose everything. We'll protect you, legal shield, financial coverage. Whatever penalties they try to impose, we'll handle them. It's not just the money, it's him. Vaughn, he's dangerous. I've spent 3 years looking over my shoulder, afraid he'd come after me, finish what he started. What did he start? Cassie asked gently. Rebecca looked at her, recognition in her eyes, survivor recognizing another survivor. I worked at his previous company, tech venture. I was a project manager, good at my Vaughn noticed me, started mentoring, lunches, coffee, advice on my career. It felt innocent, professional, until it wasn't. When did it change? Slowly, comments about my appearance, compliments that cross lines, then an after-work drink, then dinner, then we were sleeping together. I knew it was wrong. He was my boss. Married, but he said he was unhappy, getting divorced, that I made him feel alive again. Classic predator behavior. Cassie recognized it. The grooming, the manipulation, the slow erosion of boundaries. When did you get pregnant? Charlie asked. 6 months into the affair. I was terrified. Told Vaughn immediately. He said all the right things. We'd figure it out together. He'd leave his wife. We'd raise the baby. Make it work. But he didn't mean it. No, 2 weeks later, company retreat, mountain resort, team building. I was 3 months along, starting to show. Vaughn pulled me aside, said we needed to talk, walked me to the stairs. They were stone. Old building, no railing. He asked if I was sure about keeping the baby. I said yes. Then I felt hands on my back. Rebecca's voice cracked. She took a breath, continued. I turned, saw his face. He wasn't smiling, wasn't angry, just empty, like turning off a light. Then I was falling, tumbling down the stairs, hit my head, broke my arm, lost the baby. I'm so sorry, Cassie said. The company covered it up, called it an accident. I was drunk, lost my balance, except I wasn't drunk. Hadn't touched alcohol since finding out I was pregnant. But they had witnesses. People who swore they saw me drinking. Security footage that conveniently showed me stumbling. All manufactured. All lies. Vaughn paid them? Charlie asked. Vaughn owns them. Everyone at that company. They do what he says. Or they're gone, simple as that. He offered me the settlement. $2 million, NDA, medical expenses covered. All I had to do was disappear. Never speak about what happened. Never name him. And you agreed. I was broken, physically, mentally. I'd lost my baby, my career, almost lost my life. $2 million felt like compensation, felt like justice, but it wasn't. It was blood money, buying my silence, letting him get away with murder. Why come forward now? Cassie asked. Rebecca met her eyes. Because I saw you on the news. Pregnant woman gives birth on highway after hit and run. I knew, immediately, that it was him, that he'd done it again, found another woman, got her pregnant, tried to get rid of her. And I thought if I'd spoken up 3 years ago, if I'd been brave enough to break the NDA, to face the consequences, maybe he wouldn't have had the chance to hurt you. This isn't your fault. Maybe not, but I can help now. I can testify, tell my story, show the pattern, make sure he doesn't hurt anyone else. Charlie pushed the documents across the table. This protects you. Full immunity from any penalties related to breaking your NDA. We'll cover all legal costs. Provide security if needed. All you have to do is sign. Rebecca read through the papers, slowly, carefully. Then she pulled out a pen, signed, dated, pushed them back to Charlie. When do you need me to testify? As soon as possible. We're filing emergency motions, requesting a new custody hearing. Your testimony will be critical. I'll do whatever you need, whatever it takes to stop him. They spent the next 2 hours taking Rebecca's statement, recording every detail, times, dates, names, building a timeline that matched Vaughn's pattern of behavior. When they finished, Rebecca left, promised to stay available, keep her phone on. Charlie immediately started drafting motions. Cassie watched, felt pieces falling into place. Julia called again that evening. She'd found another woman willing to talk. Sarah Mitchell, no relation to Vaughn, different company, similar story, affair, pregnancy, mysterious car accident, settlement, NDA. Julia was meeting her tomorrow, getting her statement. We're building something, Charlie said. Real evidence. Pattern of behavior. This is how we win. Over the next week, they worked 18-hour days. Julia found 3 more women, all victims of Vaughn's cruelty, all willing to testify. Charlie filed motion after motion, requested emergency hearing, new custody evaluation, presented the evidence. Vaughn's lawyers fought back, claimed the women were lying, motivated by money, conspiracy. They filed counter motions, requested psychological evaluation of Cassie, tried to delay, obstruct, derail. But Judge Anderson agreed to a new hearing, 2 weeks, review all new evidence, reconsider custody arrangement. It wasn't perfect, but it was a chance. Detective Holloway called with more news. They had enhanced the gas station footage, could see inside the Range Rover, driver and passenger, faces partially visible. She was sending it to facial recognition, running it against Vaughn and Sloane's DMV photos. How long? Cassie asked. Few days, maybe a week. Technology is good, but not perfect. We need high confidence match, something that will hold up in court. Before the hearing, I'll do my best. Cassie had her first supervised visit with Grace, 4 hours at Evelyn's house. A court-appointed social worker sat in the corner, taking notes, observing, evaluating. Grace had changed in 2 weeks, grown, filled out. Her eyes were focusing better, tracking movement. When Cassie picked her up, Grace made eye contact, seemed to recognize her, or maybe that was wishful thinking. Evelyn watched from the doorway. Her expression was complicated, sad, conflicted. She didn't speak, didn't interfere, just watched Cassie with her granddaughter. When the 4 hours ended, Cassie had to give Grace back. It hurt just as much as the first time. Maybe more, because now she knew what she was missing. The weight of Grace in her arms, the sound of her breathing, the way she smelled, powder and milk and new life. Same time tomorrow, the social worker said. 4 hours, supervised. Cassie nodded, drove back to Memphis with Charlie, cried the whole way. Charlie didn't try to comfort her, just let her feel it, process it. Grief and rage and determination all mixed together. When they got back to the apartment, there was a package waiting from Julia. She compiled everything into a binder. Photos, statements, timeline, documents, pattern laid out clearly, undeniably. 5 women, 5 pregnancies, 5 attacks, all connected to Vaughn Mitchell. This is it, Charlie said. This is how we get Grace back. They worked through the night, preparing presentation, organizing evidence, anticipating counter-arguments. By morning, they had a case. Strong, compelling, unshakable. The hearing was in 1 week. 7 days to wait. 7 days to prepare. 7 days to hope this would work. On day 5, Detective Holloway called. Voice tight, cited. We got the match, facial recognition. Driver of the Range Rover at the gas station. 97% confidence. It's Vaughn Mitchell. Cassie's legs went weak. You're sure? As sure as technology allows. We compared against multiple photos, different angles, lighting conditions, all matches. It's him, no question. What about the passenger? Also a match, Sloan Hendricks, same confidence level. They were both in the vehicle. Timestamp puts them 12 miles from your location, 20 minutes before you fell. Direction of travel matches, speed matches, everything matches. This proves he was lying. His alibi was manufactured. Exactly. We're issuing an arrest warrant for both of them. Attempted murder, conspiracy, assault. We'll have them in custody before the hearing. What if they run? We've frozen their accounts, flagged their passports. They're not going anywhere. This is over, Cassie. We got him. For the first time in 3 weeks, Cassie felt it. Real, genuine hope. Not wishful thinking, not desperate optimism, but actual hope, based on evidence, proof, truth. They were going to win. Grace was coming home. The day before the hearing, Detective Holloway called again, voice grim. We have a problem. Cassie's stomach dropped. What problem? We can't find Vaughn or Sloan. They knew we were coming. Someone tipped them off. They're gone. Gone where? We don't know. Last verified sighting was yesterday morning. Vaughn at his office, Sloan at her apartment. Then nothing. No credit card activity, no phone records, no movement. They're running. Or hiding. Either way, we can't arrest them if we can't find them. And without them in custody, the hearing becomes complicated. How complicated? The evidence still stands, but defense will argue their absence proves nothing, that they had legitimate reasons to travel, business, personal emergency, anything except guilt. That's insane. They disappeared right before an arrest warrant. That's consciousness of guilt. I agree, but we're not the ones who need convincing. Judge Anderson is. Charlie took over the call, started strategizing with Holloway, contingency plans, alternative approaches, ways to proceed without Vaughn present. Cassie stopped listening, stared out the window. Memphis skyline against evening sky. Somewhere out there, Vaughn was hiding, planning his next move. He wasn't going to give up, wasn't going to let her win. He'd rather disappear, become a fugitive, anything except face consequences. Her phone rang. Unknown number. She almost ignored it, but something made her answer. Hello? Cassie, it's me. Sloane's voice, scared, shaking. I need help. Cassie gestured frantically at Charlie, mouthed Sloane's name. Charlie immediately started recording the call. Where are you? Cassie asked. I can't tell you. He'll find me. He'll kill me. Who? Vaughn? Yes, he's gone crazy. Says you ruined everything, turned everyone against him. He blames you, but mostly he blames me. Says I was sloppy, left evidence, made mistakes. You did make mistakes. You tried to kill me. Silence, then Sloane spoke. Voice small, broken. I know what we did. What I did, I can't take it back. Can't fix it, but I can tell the truth if you promise to protect me. Why should I protect you? You pushed me from a car, laughed while I fell, left me bleeding on a highway. Because I'm the only one who can prove it. The only one who was there, who saw everything, who knows what Vaughn planned. Without me, he walks. With me, he goes to prison. Cassie looked at Charlie. Charlie nodded, mouthed, say yes. What do you want? Cassie asked. Immunity, protection, new identity. I testify, tell everything. But I need guarantees, legal guarantees that I won't spend my life in prison. You tried to kill me. I know, and I'll have to live with that forever. But right now, I'm the difference between you getting your daughter back or Vaughn disappearing with her. Choose. The words hit like a physical blow. What do you mean disappear with her? He's planning to leave the country, take Grace, start over somewhere without extradition. He has money hidden, fake passports, exit strategy. If you don't stop him in the next 24 hours, he's gone, and you'll never see your daughter again. Cassie's vision tunneled. Grace. Vaughn was going to take Grace and run, disappear. She'd spend the rest of her life searching, wondering, never knowing if her daughter was safe, happy, alive. Where is he? Cassie demanded. I'll tell you, but first I need the immunity deal, in writing, signed by a prosecutor, and I need protection, police, witnesses. He can't get to me. Charlie grabbed the phone. This is Charlotte Brennan, Mrs. Mitchell's attorney. I can facilitate the immunity agreement, but I need to know what you're offering. Everything, the whole plan, how Vaughn targeted Cassie, convinced me to help, planned the push, manufactured his alibi, paid off witnesses, edited security footage, all of it. I have proof, recordings, documents, everything I saved to protect myself. I'll give it all to you. Why should we trust you? Because I'm more afraid of Vaughn than I am of prison. And because Rebecca Torres called me, told me she was testifying, said 5 other women were coming forward. I realized Vaughn would sacrifice me, claim I acted alone, make me the monster. I'm not taking the fall for him. Not anymore. Charlie covered the phone, looked at Cassie. Your call. We can try to track her location, have police pick her up, but that takes time. By then, Vaughn could be gone with Grace. And if we make the deal, we get everything we need. Testimony, evidence. Vaughn goes to prison. You get Grace back. But Sloan walks. Reduced sentence at most. Maybe no jail time at all. It was impossible. Sophie's choice. Justice for herself or safety for her daughter. Punishment for Sloan or protection for Grace. She couldn't have both. Cassie thought of Grace's face, her tiny fingers, the weight of her in her arms, the smell of her hair, everything she'd miss if Vaughn took her. Every moment, every milestone, every memory. The choice wasn't hard at all. Make the deal, Cassie said. Charlie uncovered the phone. Ms. Hendricks, I'm going to conference in Detective Holloway in the district attorney's office. We'll draft immunity terms. You provide your location and the evidence. We'll have officers pick you up. Provide protection. Agreed? Agreed, but it has to be now, tonight. Vaughn thinks I'm at a hotel, waiting for instructions. When I don't show up tomorrow morning, he'll know I flipped. He'll run. Where is he now? His mother's house. With Grace, he's been staying there, pretending everything is normal, but he has a car packed. Cash, documents. He's leaving tomorrow night, right after the hearing. Whether he wins or loses, he's not sticking around to face charges. Charlie made the calls. Holloway, district attorney, emergency conference. Terms negotiated rapidly. Sloan would plead guilty to conspiracy. Assault, receive suspended sentence. Probation, community service, no jail time. In exchange for complete cooperation, full testimony, all evidence. Within 2 hours, they had a signed agreement. Sloan provided her location. Motel outside Nashville. Police picked her up, brought her to a safe house. She handed over a USB drive, files, recordings, text messages, emails, financial records, everything. Charlie reviewed it all. Her eyes went wide. This is damning. Text messages between Vaughn and Sloan planning the whole thing. Financial records showing payments to security company. Editing the footage, witness statements he bought. It's all here. Can we use it at the hearing? Cassie asked. We can use it to have him arrested tonight, before he has a chance to run. Holloway mobilized a team. Tactical unit went to Evelyn Mitchell's house. 9 p.m. Cassie insisted on going, sitting in an unmarked car 3 blocks away, watching, waiting. She saw the police vehicles arrive. Lights off, silent approach. Officers surrounded the house. Front door, back door, all exits covered. Then Holloway knocked. Through binoculars, Cassie watched the door open, Evelyn's face, shocked, confused. Holloway showing the warrant, pushing inside. More officers following. 3 minutes later, they brought Vaughn out, hands cuffed behind his back. He was shouting, demanding his lawyer, threatening lawsuits. His voice carried in the quiet night. Familiar, once loved, now only terrifying. He saw the unmarked car, couldn't see inside with the tinted windows. But he knew. Somehow he knew Cassie was watching. He stared directly at the car, face twisted with rage, mouthed words she couldn't hear but could read on his lips. This isn't over. Then they put him in a police car, drove away. Vaughn Mitchell, CEO, billionaire, attempted murderer, finally in custody, finally facing consequences. Holloway walked to Cassie's car, opened the door. It's done. He's not going anywhere. Bail will be denied. Flight risk. Threat to witnesses. He'll stay in custody until trial. What about Grace? Judge issued emergency order, immediate custody transfer. She's coming home tonight. Cassie's eyes filled. Relief, joy, terror, all at once. Can I see her? Now? Evelyn is bringing her out. She asked to speak with you first. Cassie got out of the car, waited. The front door opened again. Evelyn emerged, carrying Grace. The baby was asleep, wrapped in a pink blanket, peaceful, unaware of the chaos around her. Evelyn walked slowly, carefully. Her face was wet with tears. When she reached Cassie, she stopped. I'm sorry, Evelyn said. I knew, deep down, I knew what my son was capable of, what his father had been, what he was becoming. But I told myself I was wrong. that I was seeing things that weren't there, that he was different. You tried to warn me. Not hard enough, not soon enough. I protected him when I should have protected you. Protected Grace, I'll have to live with that. You helped in the end. That matters. Evelyn held out Grace. Cassie took her, felt that perfect weight, breathed in that perfect smell, looked down at that perfect face. Her daughter. Home. Safe. Finally. She's beautiful, Evelyn whispered. Take care of her. Be the mother I couldn't be. Break the cycle I couldn't break. I will. I promise. Evelyn touched Grace's cheek. One last time. Then she turned, walked back to her house. Alone. Her son arrested, her granddaughter gone. Everything she'd built with her silence crumbling around her. Cassie carried Grace to the car. Charlie was waiting, smiling, crying. She helped secure the car seat, made sure everything was safe. Perfect. Then they drove away, back to Memphis, back to Charlie's apartment, back to the life they were building from pieces. Grace woke during the drive, looked up at Cassie with those dark blue eyes, made little sounds. Cassie fed her, changed her, sang to her, all the normal mother things she'd been denied for 3 weeks. 3 weeks that felt like 3 years. When they reached the apartment, it was past midnight. Cassie put Grace in the bassinet, watched her sleep, couldn't stop watching. Afraid if she looked away, this would disappear, become a dream, a cruel hope that vanished with morning. She's really here, Cassie said. She's really here, Charlie confirmed. And Vaughn is really in jail. And tomorrow at the hearing, we're going to make sure he stays there. What if something goes wrong? What if he makes bail somehow, gets out? He won't, but even if he did, we have evidence, testimony, 5 other women, Sloane's recordings, the facial recognition match. Police have an airtight case. He's done, Cassie. Finished. You won. Cassie wanted to believe it, wanted to feel victorious, but she only felt tired, drained. 3 weeks of terror and grief and fighting had hollowed her out. Victory felt less like triumph and more like survival. She hadn't won. She'd simply refused to lose. Get some sleep, Charlie said. Tomorrow we end this, permanently. The hearing was at 9 a.m. Cassie wore a navy suit Charlie had bought her, professional, appropriate, the kind of armor women wear when facing battle in courtrooms. Her left wrist was still wrapped, the road rash scars visible on her hands. She didn't try to hide them. Let the judge see. Let everyone see what Vaughn had done. Grace stayed with a social worker. Safe. Watched. Cassie had kissed her goodbye that morning. Promised she'd be back soon. With full custody, with protection, with everything they needed to never be afraid again. The courtroom was packed. Media had gotten wind of the arrest. Billionaire CEO charged with attempted murder. It was news, big news, cameras outside, reporters shouting questions. Charlie muscled through them, got Cassie inside safely. Vaughn was already there. In an orange jumpsuit, handcuffed, his lawyer surrounded him, but he looked different, smaller. The power suit was gone. The confidence was cracked. He looked like what he was, a criminal, a predator, a man who'd finally been caught. When he saw Cassie, his jaw tightened, eyes went cold, but he didn't speak, couldn't. His lawyers had probably told him to stay silent. Anything he said would be used against him. Judge Anderson entered. They all stood, sat. The judge looked at the updated case files, frowned. This wasn't the simple custody dispute he'd expected. This had become a criminal matter, attempted murder, conspiracy. Everything had changed. Mr. Harwick, the judge said, I understand your client was arrested last night? Harwick stood. He looked uncomfortable, probably realizing his reputation was now attached to a monster. Yes, Your Honor, my client maintains his innocence. The charges are based on fabricated evidence, coordinated conspiracy to destroy his reputation. Detective Holloway is here to address that. Detective? Holloway stood, presented the evidence methodically. The facial recognition match, 97% confidence. Vaughn and Sloane in the Range Rover. Timeline matching. Location matching. Blood evidence in the vehicle. Enhanced audio from the dash cam. Everything. Then she presented Sloane's testimony. Played a recording. Sloane's voice describing the plan, how Vaughn convinced her, promised her money, security, love. How they practiced the push, timed it, made sure Cassie would fall but the baby would survive. They needed the baby alive, needed Cassie to look unstable, dangerous, so Vaughn could take custody, start over with someone new. The courtroom was silent. Even the reporters had stopped moving, everyone listening, horrified, transfixed. Then Charlie presented the other women. Rebecca Torres testified, described her fall down the stairs, the baby she lost, the settlement she took, the guilt she carried. Sarah Mitchell testified, described her car accident, mysterious brake failure, baby born premature, died 3 days later, settlement, NDA, silence. 3 more women, 3 more stories, all matching, all pointing to the same pattern. Vaughn Mitchell targeted pregnant women, removed them when they became inconvenient, made it look like accidents, paid for silence, moved on. By the time they finished, it was past noon. Judge Anderson looked sick. He kept looking at Vaughn, shaking his head, like he couldn't believe he'd been fooled. That he'd almost given custody to a man capable of this. Mr. Harwick, the judge said, does your client wish to respond to these allegations? Harwick whispered with Vaughn. Long conversation. Heated. Finally, Harwick stood. My client declines to testify at this time. Fifth Amendment rights. Noted. Mrs. Brennan, what are you requesting? Charlie stood. Full custody to Mrs. Cassandra Mitchell. Permanent restraining order against Vaughn Mitchell. No contact with the child. No visitation. Ever. My client and her daughter deserve safety, protection, freedom from the man who tried to murder them. Any objection, Mr. Harwick? Harwick looked at Vaughn. Vaughn's face was stone, empty. He shook his head. No objection. He knew he'd lost. Fighting now would only make it worse. Granted, Judge Anderson said. Full custody to mother, permanent restraining order against father. Mr. Mitchell is not to contact, approach, or communicate with Mrs. Mitchell or the child in any way. Violation will result in immediate imprisonment. Bailiff, remove the defendant. They took Vaughn away. He stood, turned, looked at Cassie one last time. She met his eyes, didn't flinch, didn't look away. She'd been afraid of him for so long. Afraid of his power, his control, his ability to twist reality. But looking at him now in handcuffs, defeated, she felt nothing, not fear, not hate, nothing. He was irrelevant, a threat eliminated, nothing more. The judge continued, Mrs. Mitchell, I owe you an apology. I failed you in the first hearing. Let myself be manipulated. Believed a performance over evidence. That's on me. I can't undo the trauma that caused, but I can make sure it doesn't happen again. Thank you, Your Honor, Cassie said. The criminal trial will proceed separately. District Attorney's Office has indicated they're pursuing attempted murder charges. Based on today's evidence, I expect conviction. But that's not my jurisdiction. My job was custody, and I'm grateful I had a chance to correct my mistake before permanent harm was done. He banged his gavel. This matter is concluded. Mrs. Mitchell, your daughter is waiting for you. Go be with her. Cassie stood. Charlie hugged her. Tight, fierce. We did it. You did it. We did it together. Outside, the media was chaos. Questions shouted, cameras flashing. Charlie shielded Cassie, got her to the car. They drove to the social services building, picked up Grace. The baby was awake, alert, looking around with curious eyes. When she saw Cassie, she smiled. First real smile, not gas, not reflex, recognition, joy, love. Cassie's heart broke and healed simultaneously. Hi, baby. Mama's here. Mama's got you. Forever now. They drove back to Memphis, to Charlie's apartment, their temporary home. Cassie fed Grace, played with her, did all the normal things that felt extraordinary, because they were free, safe, together. That night, Charlie ordered takeout. They ate Chinese food on the couch, Grace asleep between them. They talked about next steps, finding Cassie an apartment, getting her financial independence, therapy, support groups, rebuilding. What about Vortex Tech? Cassie asked. Vaughn's company, his money, civil suit, already drafting it. You're entitled to damages, pain and suffering, attempted murder, plus the prenup is void, signed under fraudulent circumstances. You'll get a settlement, significant one. I don't want his money. Take it anyway. Not for you, for Grace, her education, her future. Make something good come from something terrible. Cassie thought about it, nodded. Charlie was right. She couldn't let pride or principle leave Grace vulnerable. She'd take Vaughn's money, use it to build a life he'd tried to destroy. That felt like justice. 3 months later, the trial concluded. Vaughn Mitchell convicted on all counts. Attempted murder, conspiracy, assault, sentenced to 25 years minimum. No parole. The other women received justice too. Their settlements voided, free to speak, free to heal. Vaughn's company crumbled. Board of directors forced him out. Stock plummeted. Everything he'd built collapsed. Sloan served her probation, entered therapy, started over in a different state with a different name. She sent Cassie a letter, apologizing, trying to explain. Cassie never responded. Some wounds were too deep for apology to reach, but she didn't hate Sloan anymore. Couldn't afford to carry that weight. She had Grace to raise, a life to build. Hate was too heavy to drag along. The civil suit settled, $35 million. More money than Cassie had ever imagined. She put most of it in trust for Grace, used some to buy a house. Small, comfortable, safe neighborhood, good schools, room for Grace to grow, to play, to be a child without fear. Cassie went back to work, marketing consultant. Charlie's law firm hired her. She helped other women, victims of domestic violence, taught them how to tell their stories, reclaim their narratives, turn their trauma into testimony. It was hard work, emotional work, but important, meaningful. She was good at it. Grace grew. 4 months old, 6 months, 8 months. Every day she changed, learned, discovered. Cassie was there for all of it. First laugh, first tooth, first time rolling over. Every milestone, every moment. She'd almost lost this, almost never known the joy of watching her daughter become herself. On Grace's first birthday, Cassie drove to Interstate 40, to mile marker 243, the spot where Grace had been born. Someone had left flowers there. Strangers who'd heard the story, wanted to mark it, remember it. Cassie added one more, a single white rose. Not for what she'd lost, for what she'd gained, for who she'd become. She stood there, Grace in her arms. The baby was awake, looking around. The highway stretched in both directions, endless, full of possibility. Cars passed, going somewhere, going anywhere, freedom in every direction. Cassie remembered that day. The fear, the pain, the blood, but also the strength, the will to survive, the determination to protect her child. She'd been thrown from a moving car, left to die on this exact spot, and she'd survived. More than survived. She'd won, not just in court, but in life. She'd rebuilt herself, become stronger, wiser, unbreakable. "This is where you were born," Cassie said to Grace. The baby babbled, happy sounds, oblivious. "Right here, mile marker 243. It was the worst day of my life, but also the day I became your mama. The day I learned what I was capable of, what I would do to protect you. The day everything changed." Grace reached up, grabbed Cassie's hair, pulled. Cassie laughed, kissed her daughter's forehead, breathed in that familiar scent, sunshine and baby shampoo and unconditional love. "I promise you," Cassie said, "you'll never remember this place. Never know the fear, the pain, the darkness. I'll make sure your life is full of light, safety, love. You'll never spend a day afraid. Never question if you're protected. Because I've got you. Always. Forever. I've got you." She walked back to her car, buckled Grace into her car seat. The baby kicked her legs, made happy noises, completely content, completely safe, completely loved. Cassie drove away from the highway, back toward Memphis, back toward home, back toward their future. In the rearview mirror, she watched the mile marker disappear. That spot where she'd fallen, where Grace had been born, where everything had ended and begun simultaneously. She'd never come back here again. Didn't need to. The past was behind her. The future was ahead, and Grace was beside her. That was all that mattered. The sun was setting, same time as that day 1 year ago, golden light streaming through the windshield, painting everything warm, beautiful, new. Cassie reached back, found Grace's tiny hand, held it gently. "We made it, baby," she whispered. "We survived. We're free, and nothing will ever hurt us again." Grace squeezed her mother's finger, held on tight, and Cassie drove into the sunset, into their new life, into everything they'd fought for, everything they'd won, everything they'd become. Survivors, warriors, mother and daughter, together, always, forever. Cassie's journey from that highway to her final victory wasn't just about one woman's strength. It was about all of us. Every person who's been told they're crazy when they know the truth. Every person who's faced someone with more power, more money, more connections, and refused to back down. Every person who's fought the system and won. If this story moved you, if it made you feel something, if you see yourself or someone you love in Cassie's struggle, I need you to do something. Hit that like button. It tells me these stories matter, that real stories about real survival need to be heard. Drop a comment below. Tell me what moment hit you hardest. Was it the birth on the highway? The courtroom battle? The moment she got Grace back? I read every single comment. Your words fuel these stories. Share this with someone who needs to hear it, someone who's fighting their own battle, someone who needs to know that survival is possible, that justice can win, that mothers are warriors. And subscribe to this channel, because every week I bring you stories of people who refuse to be victims, who turn tragedy into triumph, who prove that the human spirit is unbreakable. Hit that notification bell so you never miss a story of survival, strength, and justice. Cassie fought for her daughter, for her freedom, for her truth. The least we can do is make sure her story is heard. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next story. Remember, you're stronger than you think, braver than you believe, and you're never fighting alone.